Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my Hell in a Cell 2013 review, and the first match of the night was the Triple Threat Tag Team Championship. The Tag Team Champions Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus the Usos versus the Shield, and I actually thought the Shield was going to win this, but the Rhodes brothers ended up retaining the titles after the Usos were taken out by the Shield, and then they super kicked Roman Reigns outside the ring, and then Cody Rhodes hit Crossroads on Seth Rollins to retain the championships. And then after the match, they had The Miz come out, because this past Friday night on SmackDown, he got beat up by the Wyatt family backstage, so he was demanding that Bray Wyatt come out and fight him one-on-one, but then the other members of the Wyatt family ended up coming out, and while the Miz was getting beat up, then out of nowhere, Kane's music hits, and Kane comes out running to the ring, and he starts helping the Miz beat up the Wyatt family. And the last time I showed Kane was at SummerSlam when they had the Ring of Fire match. And anyways, they beat up the Wyatt family and the Wyatt family runs off. And while the Miz is getting back up, Kane chokeslams the Miz for no apparent reason. They're just probably going to start a feud between them two. But anyways, it's cool to see Kane back. He hasn't showed him in about 2 months. And then the next match was, the next match was the Great Khali and Natalya versus Fandango and Summer Rae, which I think was a boring match. Summer Rae ended up rolling up Natalya for the win, and that's pretty much it. The Great Khali and Fandango didn't really fight that much. So anyways, Fandango and Summer Rae walked off with Summer Rae's first pay-per-view match win, and that's pretty much that match. And then the next match was for the United States Championship. The champion Dean Ambrose versus Biggie Langston. But what was weird was that in the pre-show, Biggie Langston was supposed to face Curtis Axel for the Intercontinental Championship, but for whatever reason, Curtis Axel didn't show up. I guess he was injured or something, because instead, they just had a Kofi Kingston versus Damian Sandow on the pre-show, and then Biggie Langston challenged Dean Ambrose for the US title, because he was on the post-show panel. So anyways, Dean Ambrose ends up retaining when Biggie Langston and him were fighting outside the ring. And Biggie Langston gets back in the ring, and Dean Ambrose is running outside the ring. While the referee counts, and Dean Ambrose gets counted out, and like always, a championship can't change hands on count out or disqualification. So Dean Ambrose ends up retaining the title by count out. Then Biggie Langston grabs him after the match is already over, pulls him back in the ring, and gives him the big ending. And that's pretty much that match. I think it would have been cool to see him win the title, but whatever. Then the next match was the 2-on-1 handicap Hell in a Cell match. CM Punk versus Ryback and Paul Heyman. And it was weird that Ryback and CM Punk, they were in the ring with the cell lowered and everything, and then Paul Heyman came out on some kind of conveyor belt, and for some reason when he got to the cell, it hired him all the way up to the top of the cell, and the whole match he was just on top of the cell watching the match, which is weird because it's supposed to be a handicap match, but instead he was just watching. Well, anyways, in the ring, Ryback and Punk fought the whole match with the cell lowered around them. And like last year, CM Punk almost won with a low blow. He low blowed Ryback, and roll-up pinned him, but Ryback kicked out. And then at the end of the match, CM Punk pulled out a table and took it in the ring, and he put Ryback on the table, and he did the flying elbow drop from the top rope on Ryback through the table, and then he gave him the go to sleep, and that's how he won. It was a pretty short cell match after all this build up and him wanting to get his hands on Paul Heyman. Heyman wasn't even in the match. And then after the match, CM Punk went on top of the cell and he beat the crap out of Paul Heyman with the kendo stick. And finally, after about 4 months of Paul Heyman putting him through everything, CM Punk picked him up and gave him a go to sleep on top of Hell in a Cell. And then he was just chanting. I don't know what he was chanting. He was just happy that he finally got his hands on Paul Heyman. And that was the end of that feud, I guess. And then one other thing after the match, what was weird is Rey Mysterio, he's been gone since February, about 8 months now. He was with the Spanish announce team on commentary. Michael Cole introduces him, and he's just with the Spanish announcers. I don't know if he's going to be on Raw tomorrow or what, but it would be cool to see him after about 8 months he's been gone. Well, anyways, then the next match was the Real Americans versus the Los Matadores, and the Real Americans ended up losing to Los Matadores, and they did some weird move. I can't really explain how it looked like. It came out of nowhere, and then after the Cesaro swing on one of them, they did some weird move on Jack Swagger, and they ended up getting the win. And then the little bull guy, the guy in the bull costume, ends up beating up Zeb Coulter again, which, I don't know, this again was kind of another boring match. Well, anyways, the next match was for the World Heavyweight Championship. Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena. The returning John Cena. Ever since SummerSlam, he hasn't showed. Well, anyways, Alberto Del Rio comes out and all that. And it was a pretty good match. Unlike Punk at Payback, John Cena didn't really show that much ring rust. And anyways, John Cena ends up hitting the AA on Alberto Del Rio, and he ends up winning the World Heavyweight Championship. I can't really explain how. I don't really know. The match was kind of short, but it was a good match for what it was worth. John Cena hits the AA on Alberto Del Rio and ends up winning the World Heavyweight title for the first time in 3 years. Well, then the next match was for the Divas Championship. Brie Bella versus AJ. Once again, another short Divas match. AJ went with the Black Widow, making Brie Bella tap out. And that was pretty much it, I guess. And then the main event was the Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Championship, the vacant WWE Championship. Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton with special guest referee Shawn Michaels. And I think the ending was a pretty big shocker, because after the whole match they had been through, Shawn Michaels pretty much turns his back on Daniel Bryan. He gives Daniel Bryan the Sweet Chin music after. Well, first of all, Daniel Bryan hit the running knee on Randy Orton. Shawn Michaels was hurt, and Triple H went inside the cell. Daniel Bryan hit the running knee on Triple H, and then while he was trying to pin Orton, Shawn Michaels got back up, and Randy Orton went for the RKO, but then Daniel Bryan reversed, and I don't know, Shawn Michaels Sweet Chin's music, Daniel Bryan, and then Orton just picks the bones, as Michael Cole says. He pins Daniel Bryan, and Shawn Michaels counts for 3, and the new WWE Champion is Randy Orton. But the weird thing is, after the match, Shawn Michaels left like he was mad. He didn't really want to do that. So we can only expect that Triple H put him up to it for whatever reason. But I'm going to watch Raw tonight to see what happens between all of them. And hopefully Daniel Bryan gets another title shot, because this is like the 4th time he's got screwed out of the title. He was screwed at SummerSlam. He was screwed after Night of Champions. He was screwed at Battleground by Big Show. And he got screwed again by Shawn Michaels. So hopefully he gets another title shot. Anyways, Randy Orton's the new WWE Champion. John Cena's the new World Champion. Let's see how this all... let's see how it all works out on Raw tonight. But until next time, next month is Survivor Series. I'll be doing my review on that next month. But I'll see y'all guys next time.